The IELTS speaking exam can change your life and give you so many opportunities with moving abroad. What if I told you you were studying it the wrong way? The system I am about to share with you makes it really simple for you to prepare for your IELTS speaking exam, and I'm going to demonstrate by showing you exactly how to respond to advanced topics, just to prove that even if you can't come up with any ideas on a question the examiner asks you, actually help you sound fluent in IELTS speaking. Assalamu alaikum everyone. By the end of this video, we are going to go from blank page to the complete IELTS speaking study guide. So first of all, just understanding why we need the right system while preparing for IELTS speaking will actually help us better understand how the examiner will be grading us on test day. And secondly, according to the IELTS speaking band descriptors, the examiner is actually going to be looking for your level of fluency and coherence. Well, let's have a look. If you are able to speak coherently throughout your sentences and are able to clearly articulate your thoughts throughout your speech, you are on your journey to success. So remember this. Study guides are way better because they actually use a structured approach and teach you what you need to know step by step. It would take me a lot longer to read through a web page or notes, whereas I can just look at this and instantly remember what the whole system is on how to answer my IELTS speaking responses. So everything we actually just went over is from our IELTS speaking study guide acronym called SPEECH. SPEECH stands for style, which is develop your own speaking style that suits your personality and strengths. P stands for preparation. You need to prepare your thoughts. E stands for expression. Use a variety of expressions and vocabulary to convey your ideas effectively. E stands for empathy. Consider the examiner or audience's perspective and adapt your communication accordingly. C stands for conciseness. Be concise and to the point in your responses. Remember to avoid unnecessary rambling. Last but not least is humor. Incorporate humor when appropriate to especially lighten the mood between you and your examiner. So get it, just like you follow different steps to creating a delicious recipe, the IELTS speaking examiners are actually looking for the proper format of your answers. Hey Misty, can you activate the IELTS speaking study plan protocol? Step 1, understanding the question before answering. So for this example, I'm actually going to break down an IELTS speaking part 3 question on improvements of technology over time. And here is the exact question we are actually going to discuss on how to come up with ideas for. What role do you think social media plays in shaping cultural norms and values in your society? Step 2. Coming up with ideas using at least 3 of the 5 W's, and think about which ones you are going to use. So think of how you can discuss your ideas answering the who, what, where, why, and how. So I'm actually going to figure out how I can come up with ideas using this method. I would often use this step when I would write a lot of papers while completing my master's degree in university. This step actually used to really make me feel overwhelmed because I used to try to come up with ideas for all the 5 W's. But guys, this is not necessary, right? Because you don't have much time to discuss your thoughts. So just use at least 3 of these W's, and this way you are able to discuss all your ideas to the examiner. So we want to identify the most important W's to discuss because that will be the foundation of our speech acronym, and actually it will be giving us structure to the other steps. Step 3 is before you respond to the examiner, try to structure your ideas in the correct order with the W's. With the W's you are going to use. So for example, Let's look back at the question we are going to answer. What role do you think social media plays in shaping cultural norms and values in your society? So I'm writing the 3 W's I want to make sure I answer in the question. So this is what you would be doing in your head, but I want you to visually see how I will be responding to this particular question. So for step 4, this is where the speech acronym kicks in. So in the step style, I want you to think about how these main topics fit in an order that makes the most sense. So imagine that these are individual puzzle pieces and that you were trying to fit them together to see the big picture. I found that a good way is to ask how these ideas actually connect together. Ask yourself, can I compare or contrast them? So let's go through the order you need to put your answer in that will make the most sense. So after lots of thought, we found that the best way to start responding to this question is by discussing the who is influenced by social media the most. And we can't disagree that we feel that the younger generation has actually changed that. Next, we are going to discuss the what. And for this, we want to make sure we talk about cultural changes we have seen in society that use social media. Next is the why. So during the last sentence, you actually want to talk about why social media has changed or transitioned into society as a whole. So for this, we are going to talk about globalization and how it's come about in different societies. The next step is preparation. So I want you to prepare your thoughts and how you are going to say them. So one thing I really want you to remember that is when you are responding to the examiner, the general rule of thumb is to respond with at least 4 to 5 sentences for the part 3 section. So don't go beyond that limit. Let's break down how the sentences would go in order. So in sentence 1, we are going to make sure we introduce this topic. Sentence 2 is the who. Sentence 3 is the what. Sentence 4, we are going to discuss the why. And sentence 6 is the conclusion. So let's talk about a step 6, which is the E acronym. That is expression. I want you to use different expressions to convey your idea effectively, and you need to remember that you should use vocabulary that relates to the given context in your answer. So here's a quick brainstorm of idioms we can use to really discuss social media. So I've brainstormed a few idioms that we can use about social media. So for the who, I'm going to use the idiom FOMO, which means fear of missing out. And for the what, I'm going to use going viral is a sense of accomplishment. And next, for the why, I'm going to use the idiom online persona, which is somebody's identity that is presented over social media. And step 7, the next acronym is empathy. So I want you to consider the examiner's perspective and adapt your communication accordingly. You never want to be disrespectful in your answer. So first of all, from the perspective of the examiner, it's actually essential to recognize that they are assessing not just your language skills, but also your critical thinking abilities and your awareness to cultural stances. So your answer needs to show that you actually understand the topic well, and talking about both good and bad effects of social media on culture actually proves that you could think about different sides of the issue and actually be able to elaborate on it carefully. Guys, step 6 is conciseness. Be concise and to the point in your responses. You need to avoid unnecessary rambling and filler words. I want you to remember that being concise actually means getting straight to the point without unnecessary elaboration or rambling. Remember, it's an English test and you need to remember this. So here are some tips I wanted to discuss for maintaining conciseness in your responses. So the first tip is to stick to the main points. I want you to focus on addressing the key aspects of the question without going into any unnecessary details, and don't be too repetitive. Step 2 is avoid repetition. So once you've made your point, there's no need to repeat it multiple times. I want you to remember to use a variety of vocabulary words and examples to try to express your ideas without being redundant. And the next tip is organize your thoughts before speaking. Take a moment to organize your ideas in your head and structure the response in a logical order, right? So even though in the video I showed you brainstorming, you're obviously not gonna have time to do that, but I want you to do it in your head. Remember, by prioritizing this, you'll be actually able to deliver clear and impactful answers that will demonstrate your ability to be able to really effectively respond to the IELTS speaking examiner. So let's talk about step 9. So the next acronym is H, humor. So remember to incorporate some humor into your speech when you are discussing your responses to the examiner. Remember that it's just an informal discussion between you and the examiner, and the best way to show him your comfort level is to really try to, have some lighthearted conversation or joke, so that way he knows that you are actually comfortable in your speech, right? So here we go. Let's talk about the introduction. Social media significantly influences cultural norms and values in our society. Next, we are going to talk about the who. I noticed how teenagers with FOMO, which remember means fear of missing out, are like detectives on social media. They always try to keep up with the latest trends. Then for the what, we're actually going to discuss going viral is seen as a sense of accomplishment, with individuals always trying to create content that really attracts some attention and engagement. Following that, the why is maintaining an online persona becomes crucial, because actually individuals seek validation and recognition within their social circles and online communities. Finally, we're going to talk about the conclusion. To conclude, we're going to say social media serves as a powerful tool for shaping cultural norms and values, and impacts how individuals perceive themselves in and interact with others in our increasingly digital society. So this whole process would usually take a few seconds to gather your thoughts before actually responding to the examiner. I want you to remember that this whole process would usually only take a few seconds to gather your thoughts in your head. Think about what order you want them in before responding to the examiner. But I really hope that this will help you on your exam day. If you want to learn more about what topics you will be asked on your IELTS speaking exam, then I want you to check out this video over here. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.